Hello everyone, we are here at the Norisring. It's the final race weekend of the DTM season 2021. It's powered by BWT and we're super excited to be here at this wonderful circuit. It's a city circuit in the city of Nuremberg. We've got the sun shining, we've got spectators here. It's such a historic place and we are psyched. It's going to be a super exciting last final race weekend and we're excited for the qualifying factors. Liam Lawson, this young man, is already sitting in the car ready for the qualifying. He is leading the championship by 14 points, just ahead of Kelvin van der Linde, and it's going to be so super exciting. So fasten your seatbelt and now let's get the qualifying started full speed. Here's your commentator.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are watching from around the world. This is it then, the final 2 days, the final 2 qualifying sessions, the final 2 races of what's been an enthralling 2021 season. I'm Chris Hartley, I'll talk you through all of the action. We'll all try and keep calm together, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that's not going to happen. Yesterday, we had 2 free practice sessions, which felt like qualifying sessions. It was absolutely frenetic. The pace got quicker and quicker and quicker as each wheel was turned, each lap was completed, and you had your top 3 in the championship all performing well in those 2 sessions. The first session in early afternoon was topped by this man, Maximilian Gotz, who's here on his home circuit, the Franconian driver. He was quickest yesterday in free practice 1. Lucas Auer was 2nd, Kelvin van der Linde was 3rd, and Liam Lawson was 4th quickest, only a few thousandths of a second separating the top 2 of the championship in that session. Then it got a little bit quicker in the late afternoon session, and Liam Lawson managed to top the times with the fastest lap of the day, 49.375 seconds. We are almost certainly going to go quicker than that today with the new tyres on. Arjun Maini was 2nd quickest, Max Gotz was 3rd quickest, and van der Linde 5th in that second session.
Arjun, Whitman and Ellis. Copy.
So there, the calm before the storm on board with Liam Lawson, getting set for this 20-minute qualifying session, not only to set the grid for the first race of the weekend, the penultimate round of DTM 2021, but also 3 potential championship points up for grabs. So Liam Lawson is your championship leader coming into this final weekend of the season. The 19-year-old on 206 points. That is 14 clear of Kelvin van der Linde. It's 26 clear of Maximilian Gotz. And it is 41 points clear of Marco Wittmann, who has a mathematical chance still of winning the title, but he needs a brilliant weekend and he needs everybody above him to have disasters, really. But as long as there's a chance, right? So don't rule him out. It's motorsport. We've got the walls of this German Monaco street circuit, which could come into play. There's all sorts of things. There's a million things can go wrong in motorsport. So it is certainly one we're not going to look to predict. BMWs didn't look particularly on the pace during the free practice sessions yesterday, though. It's the longest wheelbase car on the grid, and there are 2 tight hairpins around this 2.3-kilometre long street circuit, which is our final venue, our final destination for this year's championship decider. So after this qualifying session, the gap between Lawson and van der Linde could come down to 11 points, or it could grow to 17, or it could stay the same. It could be somewhere in between, but it just really stresses the point that these qualifying sessions are super important. So far this year, Kelvin van der Linde has scored 17 championship points just from qualifying. Well, you get 18 for a 2nd place finish, so it's like an extra podium finish that you can score this season. Liam Lawson scored 14 points, and Marco Wittmann has scored 13 points so far. So Kelvin van der Linde, last time he raced the streets of the Norisring, he was in the VW Sirocco R Cup, a young man looking to grow his reputation after successes in things like the VW Polo Cup in South Africa. Came and won that title that year on the support build to DTM. That was back in 2013. The year he's now teammate Mike Rockenfeller, who's having his last weekend with Audi in DTM here at the Norisring, and he's looking to support Kelvin and the team. That was the year that Mike Rockenfeller won the DTM Championship 2013. So Liam Lawson looking to become the youngest ever DTM champion as the session gets underway. Pascal Wehrlein holds that record at the moment. Back in 2015, he won the title when he was 20 years old. He was almost 21 when he won the title, so that record could go this weekend. But Kelvin van der Linde, Maximilian Gotz, and maybe even Marco Wittmann might have something to say about that. So we will see now how these cooler conditions affect the cars, because for the first time coming into the circuit this morning, you could see your own breath, and it was definitely a real chill in the air. Windscreen misting up on the car on the way from the hotel, that sort of thing, low sunlight in your eyes, so feeling very autumnal. But yesterday, when we had the sessions in the afternoon, it was nice and warm. So we got to about 19 degrees air temperature. At the moment, it's only 10 degrees air temperature, and the track temperature is less. It's only 9.1 degrees, the track temperature. So they have new tyres on, but it's going to be a bit cool and a bit slippery out there, you suspect. There's the River Racing BMW of Timo Glock heading out. Last time for the M6 in action, as the model is replaced for next year. But it's been a very successful car indeed, the BMW. Have had struggles, not just at Rover Racing, but with the BMW Valkenhurst run car of Marco Wittmann. The last time out at Hockenheim just unfortunately wasn't competitive.
Okay, so please switch on the engine now. 30 seconds until leaving.
And there, Esme Hawkey, about to be released out onto the circuit for her first qualifying session at this circuit. Clipped the wall yesterday in free practice one and damaged the right rear suspension towards the end of free practice one, so she didn't miss too much running, and then managed to get out and complete quite a number of laps in the second session. So T3 Motorsport released the British driver.
We can do map 3. Position on the track is good, position is good, good in front of you, behind.
And team radio there for Timo Glock. And you see what I mean about the low sun in your eyes here around this fantastic venue. So pleased that we've been able to come back here to the Norisring, a postponed event normally run here in July, but because of the pandemic and because they have to close the city off to run this event once a year, it relies on being able to allow spectators in to make it work, and thankfully we've been able to do that. And you can see already early doors the grandstand starting to fill up. That is the pinch points, the Grundig-Kehrer, the first hairpin on this 2.3 kilometre long lap, which has 8 corners, just about, if you can call them all corners. Through the Scholler S they go, this right and left sequence, the wall awaits. It's a bumpy road surface, these are public roads, so the grip levels are far, far less than you get on a normal race circuit. René Rast, 3 times a champion here this weekend. Watching the action go on, Abt running, of course, the car of Kelvin van der Linde, and the whole team out in force this weekend. Hans-Jürgen Abt there you saw on the pit wall, team boss. Son Daniel Abt is going to be here this weekend as well. And there is the familiar sights of the AlphaTauri backed AF Corsa, number 23 Ferrari, but with a new driver this weekend, because Alex Albon had a late call-up for Formula 1 duties in his last few months as a Red Bull Formula 1 reserve and development driver. So he's been replaced this weekend. We've been waiting all year for this, for Nick Cassidy. So Nick Cassidy comes in. So 2 New Zealand drivers with varying levels of experience sharing the Ferrari duties this weekend. But it's great to have Nick here. Knows this track from racing in Formula 3 European Championship, but had so much success since then. Racing most recently for the first season for him in the Formula E Championship. But it's a great success out in in Japan, racing in, he's been a Japanese Formula 3 champion, Super GT champion recently as well. Brings a great degree of experience. There'll be a real calming influence, I think, on young Liam Lawson. So still building up the speed. Daniel Hagedaya there, who missed a large part of the second free practice session, but then went out and was quick straight away. The time's beginning to come down. 50.4 then is the early benchmark time. They're going to get quicker than this, but it's Sheldon van der Linde and Kelvin van der Linde top of the timing screen for now. Watch out for Nico Muller this weekend as well. Former winner here, one of 3 winners that Ants have had at this circuit. One in 2016, had a double that year with Eduardo Matara winning the Saturday race and Nico Muller winning on the Sunday. But you could tell the drivers that had been here before, albeit in very different types of cars, because they went straight down to the pace that first few laps of free practice one. Everybody else, understandably so, took a little bit of time to bed themselves in. But Nico Muller was one of those drivers that looked quick yesterday in the top 6 in both of the sessions. But thousandths of seconds are going to separate them in this session. Had pretty much the entire field covered by less than a second in the free practice sessions yesterday, as Kelvin van der Linde becomes the first driver to break the 50-second barrier today. 49.647 was still not as quick as we were yesterday. However, it will come, but you sense with the track temperature going up, more rubber being laid down, it's possibly going to be the second half of the session where the absolutely blindingly quick times start to come in. Nico Muller, meanwhile, has gone second with a 50.086. We're on a good lap for Liam Lawson, who's just gone through the 49.620 to go briefly top of the times until his teammate passes him just behind and goes quicker. Then Philip Ellis goes quicker again as he crosses the line at 49.571. 1,000ths of a second between the top two. Get used to it, because those are the sorts of gaps we're going to be having today in this qualifying session. So it's Ellis, Cassidy, Lawson, and then Kelvin van der Linde goes a little bit quicker still, 49.255. Liam Lawson, though, absolute best first sector time. So he is on a flyer. Kelvin van der Linde's got the quickest second sector time. A little bit down in that second sector, but not much. Less, well, half a tenth of a second down, but Lawson was up in the first sector. So this is going to come close to getting him top of the pile again, Liam Lawson, who's for now dropped down to 4th place. Cassidy's on a good lap as well, and he does go top, Liam Lawson, with a 49.139. That puts him a 10th clear. Cassidy goes 3rd with that lap. So the Ferraris surrounding the Audi at the moment, with Lawson and van der Linde were at the top two. Then Lucas Auer crosses the line and goes and splits them. He goes second. It's going to be the real, not a dark horse this weekend, but he's going to be one of the non-championship contenders to really watch out for, with 2 wins from the last 2 weekends. Esteban, first sector of this lap, 18.174 seconds. He's looking for a 15.1 through the middle sector. He's done it. 169, absolute best sector 1, absolute best sector 2. Liam Lawson heading for provisional pole position in the first half of this 20-minute session. He comes out of the final corner at Dutzendijk Curve, heads for the line. He should be fastest. He is 48.96 seconds. First driver into the 48. Nick Cassidy is not far behind him on track, with a good lap, goes into the top 5 as well. But now Daniel Hunkerdale goes even quicker than anybody in the middle sector. He was a 3/10 down in the first sector, though, so this might not challenge for the fastest time, but it's good. It puts him into 5th place, and Arjun Maini has gone second. He's been a real revelation in qualifying of late. 3rd quickest at Spielberg in one of the sessions, 3rd quickest at Hockenheim, but with a grid penalty on the Sunday last weekend. And now Arjun Maini goes even quicker. The Mercedes have got a great record here. They've had more wins than any other brand at the Norisring. And Arjun Maini is aboard the Get Speed Mercedes, fastest first sector of all. Personal best in the second sector. Arjun is only a 10th behind at the moment. Here he comes, sprinting out of the last curve, heading to the line now to go through. Cassidy goes second, Arjun Maini goes first. Onto provisional pole position for the Indian driver with a 48.938. 28,000ths of a second clear of Liam Lawson, who's gone into the pits now. There's Nick Cassidy, still on track in 3rd. Kelvin van der Linde in 4th, but Daniel Hunkerdale goes 3rd quickest now. So Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Audi, your top 6. Maini, Lawson and Hunkerdale, but Kelvin van der Linde fights back. Just sneaks through that very good final sector to get into the 48. So it's Maini on provisional pole by 21,000ths of a second from Kelvin van der Linde in 2nd. Kelvin is 7,000ths of a second quicker than Liam Lawson. They've been glued together pretty much all the way through. Max Gotz is thereabouts in 6th place. Esteban Moot is on a charge. Said to me last weekend, I'm really, really looking forward to driving the Norisring. And, well, you can see he's enjoying himself. Fearless, isn't he? Can he get himself his best grids of the year so far? Personal best in the second sector, absolute best in the first. Here we go. This could be a cat amongst the pigeons. The Lamborghini heads for the line, crosses the line and goes 8th. A bit disappointing in the end. He dropped time in that final sector. He lost a couple of tenths of a second. But Esteban, he's only 3/10 of a second away from pole position, yet he is in 8th place. 8/10 covering the top 17 as it stands. The top 7 have all now headed for the pits. Maini, Kelvin van der Linde, Lawson, Hunkerdale, Cassidy. 6th place for Gotz, 7th for Auer. Moot in 8th, Muller in 9th. Maximilian Buch has just come up to 10th place, as you've seen him back in the Muka Motorsports number 18 Mercedes now, having been replaced for one weekend only by Marvin Dienst. He did a great job last weekend at Hockenheim. Esteban Moot is still out on track, but he's down in the middle sector and aborts the lap, heads for the pits. Nico Muller's running slightly out of sequence with the others. Personal best in the first sector. This isn't going to challenge at the very sharp end, but it might be his best lap of the session. Mike Rockenfeller, like he did at Hockenheim, is running out of sequence as well. He's still on track and has gone 10th. So there you see, at the moment, Kelvin van der Linde would pick up 2 points for qualifying second. Liam Lawson would pick up 1 point for qualifying third. And your gap would come down to 13 points in the championship. Just to put it into perspective, there are, as it stands, 56 points still available. After this qualifying session, there'll be 53 points still available in the championship. Marco Wittmann struggling still, down in 16th place, I'm afraid, but the Mercedes, the Audis, the Ferraris have all looked good here around the Norisring. Short wheelbase on this Audi. And Nico Muller pushing on, looking like it's going to be his best lap of the session. Where is this going to put Nico? He goes up to 7th. Hans-Jürgen Abt watches on, closest to the screen. Thomas Biermeier in the shadows just behind him, the CEO. And great news for Kelvin van der Linde yesterday is that he was able to announce that he'll be back in DTM 2022. He's already signed the deal to be back with Abt, who have said yesterday they're going to run at least 2 cars in the championship next year. 4 this year. Practice pit stop, these are going to be so important, aren't they? As Mike Rockenfeller screams back out, lights up the rear tyres. The Michelin smoke away as he goes back onto the circuit. Marco Wittmann's woes continue though, 7/10 of a second off the pace, down in 16th position. The best BMW, Sheldon van der Linde, in 12th place. They look like they're going to struggle to qualify in the top 10. So 8 minutes to go in the session. 90 thousandths of a second cover the top 4 drivers. Maximilian Götz gets very close and just clips the wall, just takes a bit of paintwork off the side of the Mercedes. It's such a different circuit, this. Not just in terms of the layout, of course, but the surface. It's bumpy. You can see the cars hopping and skipping. It's harder work with less grip on the public roads than on a normal racetrack. So it's harder work for the ABS. It's harder on the brakes, these 2 big hairpins, these 2 big stopping points. It's harder on the traction control. It's going to be harder on the tyres as they come out of the corners as well. So that's going to come into play with strategy. One thing to bear in mind is that because it's such a short lap here of under 50 seconds, you come in and make a pit stop, you could easily go a lap down. And one thing that was apparently talked about in the driver's briefing yesterday was if you go a lap down, you make your pit stop, and then the safety car comes out, are we going to be allowed back ahead of the safety car to catch up to the back of the train? And the answer was no, you'll stay a lap down, we're not going to let anybody through. So that would make me a bit nervous about doing a late pit stop, to be honest. I'd maybe want to get it out of the way quickly, but there are bigger brains than mine, that's for sure, that are going to be in charge of that sort of stressful decision. And they're going to have to play it by ear because so much can happen in the races here around the streets of Nürnberg. So we're about to get the second half of this qualifying session underway. DTM Norisring, powered by BWT. It's been a great session so far. Arjun Maini is on course for his maiden pole position in DTM to steal the thunder of the championship contenders, to maybe take some points away from them as well. Maximilian Götz would be absolutely overjoyed if he could get his first ever DTM pole position here. He's looked good, as I say, he was quickest in free practice 1 yesterday, 3rd in the second session, but at the moment Max is down in 6th place, but it's fractions of a second. That's Sophia Floor. She made a big leap forward in the second free practice session yesterday, gained more than half a second, went quicker and quicker all the time from Munich, not too far away from here. This is the second biggest city in Bavaria. Nürnberg and Munich, of course, is the largest. Although it wasn't always the case, that. This became a settlement long ago, way before Munich became a huge city. Right, Philippe Ellis, who looked good yesterday as well. Struggled with a brake issue in the first qualifying session at Hockenheim. Let's see what he can do. Birthday boy as well, 29 years old today. There's Bernd Schneider, multiple DTM champion, who was at Hockenheim last weekend as well. He's the driver coach for Philippe Ellis, doing a rather good job. Philip's parents and his stepmom were in the commentary box last weekend at Hockenheim with me for qualifying, and they said, Bernd can't believe how good Philippe is at the first lap, at the starts of the races. He said, I was never that good off the line. Although, of course, he was hugely successful. None of the drivers on the grid have ever won here, apart from Nico Muller. Bruno Spengler with the most wins, 5 wins here, and he's in action this weekend. Bruno racing in the BMW Classic Series, just qualified on pole in that before we came on air. Jamie Green with 4 wins here and multiple podium finishes as well. They're the most successful drivers around the streets of Nürburgring in DTM. Right, time starting to come down. Personal best sector time starting to light up the screen. There's the driver that is on provisional pole position, Arjun Maini, 48.938 seconds. Will he need to go quicker to secure that pole position? I suspect so. His gap is just 21 thousandths of a second over Kelvin van der Linde. Philip Ellis needs a good lap. He's back in 15th place at the moment, but this is looking like a personal best. It's not going to be right at the top, but it could well put him into the top 10, looking at those sector times. Maybe a little bit higher than that. Through he goes, 8th place, yeah. So 49.230. So only 5 thousandths of a second behind Nico Muller. Arjun Maini has got Lucas de Grassi behind him. He's one of the drivers that's raced here before, albeit in Formula 3 and a couple of times in the Audi TT Cup. Daniel Hunkedaer, 4th quickest at the moment. His best time of 49.028. He is somebody that could gun for pole position as well. Have to get a podium finish if he can here. It's been pretty strong in the last couple of weekends in terms of his pace. Philip Ellis, good first sector there. Personal best in the middle sector for Liam Lawson as well. So it's about a 10th down in the first sector. But Liam is 3rd at the moment. He will want to get ahead of Kelvin van der Linde if he can. Can he get himself onto the front row of the grid? He goes to the top of the times. 48.903 by 35 thousandths of a second. He's done it for now. 3 minutes, 11 seconds to go. 3 championship points coming the way of Liam Lawson. Only 1 for Kelvin van der Linde. The gap as it stands would open up to 16 championship points, with 53 still available. But Arjun Maini's not yet done. Nick Cassidy's had a good start to the lap as well. Arjun goes through with a 48.991, which is just a fraction away from his best, and Liam Lawson's going even quicker. He said he loves this place. This is a sick circuit to drive on. He posted on social media yesterday. He's loving the challenge, and he is rising to it. Liam Lawson looks like he might be about to go even quicker, but the gaps are so tight. You've just got to keep putting the laps in here to make sure of it. Is this a better lap still? It's a 48.916. That is 13 thousandths of a second slower than his previous best, but it would still have been good enough, that one, for pole position. So he's got the quickest 2 laps of the session now. Arjun Maini started the lap well, but he's faltered a little bit in the middle sector, so I'm not sure he's going to improve. We're just seeing in the background coming out to cross the line. What will it be? 49.83. Certainly not a bad lap, but it was all, I think, traffic related. That Lucas Ara's got into 6th place. Liam Lawson going quickly again. What about Kelvin van der Linde? He started the lap pretty well, but he's about a 10th down through that first sector. And he's only half a 10th down in terms of his overall best lap time away from provisional pole, so he needs to find some time. Maximilian Gotz is finding time. He's down to 7th place at the moment, but on a personal best through the first 2 sectors. So can he get himself into the fight? You're right on board with him now as he comes out of the final turn. Sprints for the line here. 1.5 minutes to go. He's got time for a couple more laps, and he goes up to 4th place. So the top 3 in the championship, they're all in the top 4 now. In amongst them, though, Arjun Maini is on for a personal best qualifying in his first season of DTM. He's on the front row of the grid as it stands, but Liam Lawson has gone even quicker with a 48.766 and given himself that breathing space now. 0.172 seconds clear. That is a huge margin in terms of Norisring, because we're normally looking at thousandths of a second all the way down the timing screen. We're looking at thousandths of a second between drivers. But for him, it's a 0.172 second advantage. Lucas Ara is trying to get up there in amongst them, though, and he goes 2nd with a 48.93. Still got time for 2 more laps, potentially, with 52 seconds left on the clock as he crossed the line. Lawson comes through again, but it's a slower lap of 50.2. Worth pointing out as well, the gap between Kelvin van der Linde in 4th and Max Gotz in 5th is just a thousandth of a second, but van der Linde drags himself back onto the front row of the grid. 48.904. He was out of the points. He's now going to score potentially 2 points. Václav Abril, personal best, goes into 11th place. Not there going to be any more turns of the dice. It's a busy lap out there, so you've got to watch that you get track position here. Liam Lawson not on an improved lap at the moment, but as you'd expect, really. He's staying out there just to make sure, but has he got enough life left in the tyres? Does he need to push on? His gap is still over a 10th of a second. Maximilian Gotz is not improving And he's still got some time here. Absolute best final sector, 48.720. And he gets the gap out by another half a tenth of a second as the checkered flag comes out. Liam Lawson looks like he's on course for pole position and those 3 all-important championship points. Kelvin van der Linde comes through, stays in second place, doesn't improve on that final lap. Daniel Hunkedair looked like he was going to try and improve there, but stays in 7th place. So it's looking like Liam Lawson, Kelvin van der Linde and Lucas Auer as your top 3, with 3 points coming the way of Liam, 2 points coming the way of Kelvin, and that means the championship margin will grow from 14 to 15 points going into the penultimate race of the season.
Are you sure?
Liam Lawson.
Yes, 100%.
You sure? I'll do another lap if you want, because he just set absolute best middle sector as well, so holding on to those tyres well, wasn't he? I can do another one if you want. No, you're all right. You've got pole position, don't worry about it. And there, the live championship points showing the gap growing to 15 points. Max got no points.
It's Kelvin in P2, 0.18 seconds behind. Then it's Lucas Auer, Arjun is P4, Guts P5, Alice P6, Chunkadea 7, Nick is P8, Nico Muller P9. Jumping out now, I will grab the 96.
Okay.
So you don't forget the driver weight and the USB. Good job, guys, good job.
Oh, you done my job for me there, giving you the top 9. 10th was Esteban Moot, there you go. So, Lawson, championship leader, pole position. Van der Linde, 2nd in the championship, 2nd on the grid. You couldn't write the script, could you? They are absolutely together. But that's impressive stuff from Liam Lawson. Not just 1 good lap, but 3 or 4 really, really quick laps there. And the gap, 0.184 seconds. I don't think anybody would have bet on somebody getting pole position by such a margin when it was so close yesterday. But there you go. It is Liam Lawson on pole position. Kelvin van der Linde starts 2nd. The 2 championship contenders, 2 key contenders, share the front row of the grid with Aaron Miney starting on the 2nd row. Gotts, 3rd in the championship, will start 5th. Ellis with a good qualifying start 6th. Hunkedair and Cassidy 7th and 8th. Muller and Moot will line up on the 5th row of the grid. And as you can see, just half a second covering the top 10. That's on Avril, and Mike Rockenfeller will be on the 6th row of the grid. Lucas de Grassi and Maximilian Buch will start the 7th row. Sophia Florsch and Timo Glock starting in 15th and 16th positions, and that's the best qualifying so far this year for Sophia Florsch in 15th place. Van der Linde 17th, Sheldon van der Linde is SB Hockey 18th, Marco Wittmann 19th. I'm afraid the championship has just fizzled away, hasn't it? BMW has not been competitive on the last couple of weekends, and Dev Gore will line up in 20th place. So 209 points for Liam Lawson, extends his championship lead. The magic number for Liam this weekend is 249 points. If he gets to 249, nobody can catch him. He'll have 1 more point than Van der Linde. Van der Linde's got 1 more race win should they tie, but if he goes on to count back of most second place finishes, Lawson has got that one nailed because he's got 4 second place finishes and Kelvin has got none so far. He's had wins, he's been 3rd, but he hasn't had a second place finish. So all worth bearing in mind. And for Maximilian Gotts, the hill gets a little bit steeper to try and climb. Smiles, but you can tell not completely happy. It's a good qualifying for Kelvin van der Linde, but the one driver he didn't want in front of him is the one driver that is going to be starting in front of him. But the big championship points, of course, come from the race. 25 points for the race victory. So, you know, it could have been a lot worse, but it's just not quite perfect, is it? And there you go. The 2 championship contenders give each other a hug. Kelvin van der Linde, ever the sportsman, gives a pat on the shoulder to Liam Lawson. And there, Lucas Auer, who, you know, looks like he's going to be the driver on form going into the final weekend of the season. These 2 wins that he's had, he was unlucky not to perhaps fight for a podium in the first race at Hockenheim when Arjun Miney clipped him pretty heavily going into the hairpin and ended his race. But he's had really good pace of late. He's really getting to grips with these GT cars. Lots of DTM experience, but new to these GT3 cars, Lucas Auer, but he's really looking good. And if he comes back next year, Luke is going to be one to watch because he's absolutely up there all the time now with these championship contenders. So it's Ferrari, Audi, Mercedes, the top 3, but all smiles for Liam Lawson. He has kept his cool, never been here before. He's doing a superb job. The fight has still got a lot of rounds left to run. So pensive-looking Kelvin van der Linde walks away. Liam Lawson, job done. 3 points, job done for now. Enjoy the moment, but he knows how much work still lies ahead. There's still been a few twists and turns in the script, you suspect, and we've seen over the last few rounds how quickly things can change. It's not that long ago, just a month or so ago, Liam was 5th in the championship. Now look at him leading the way. Right, let's get some driver reaction then down with Verena.
I've got the man here who's starting in pole position, Liam Lawson. I mean, how relieved are you that you're starting in pole? Because obviously it's so tough to overtake here, so it's wonderful you starting in pole position.
That really was the key today, because obviously with the weight we have in the car, it was going to be very difficult in the race to overtake. So now we have to try and do our best to keep everyone behind. Luckily we're on a track that's hard to pass, but yeah, really, really happy. The guys did a great job yesterday. We made a big step from FP1 to FP2, and the car was really good this morning as well, so really happy.
It's your 3rd pole position in this season, but surely even though you're in pole, I mean, Calvin is going to breathe down your neck. You're sure it's going to be a tough race, right?
He's right next to me on the grid, so it's going to be, yeah, very, very tough for sure. He's has no weight in the car, so he'll be pushing like crazy to get me, and I'm ready for it, but we'll do everything we can.
And how's your, I mean, all in all, your feeling? I mean, it's so exciting. It's your first season. It's all about the championship title, and it's only 2 more races to go.
Yeah, no, it's really very, very close, really, really cool. I'm so happy, proud of the whole team to be in this position going into this weekend is pretty cool. With the work we've done all year, to carry on form like we have is really, really cool. There was a point in the year where I thought we were out of it, honestly, but they were the ones who told me to keep my head in it and that we'd make back the points, and we have. So now we're going to try and finish it off this weekend.
All right, well, let's see. It's going to be exciting. Thank you so much, Liam. And then Calvin is still in the interview. Let's grab Luki for a second. Lucas, because the man who got P3 is Luki Auer. Hey there, Luki. So, not bad, P3. What are you going to make out of it?
Yeah, we see. I have the performance weight. I think it will be a tough race for me, but I'm happy with qualifying. I mean, Liam was in a own world, but with Kelvin, you know, he is so tight, it's so tough here, but I love this place.
Absolutely, and the atmosphere here with all these people and the sun shining, it's not bad, huh?
No, it's not bad.
So you're looking forward to the race and hopefully podium for sure?
Yeah, I think with the performance rate, it will be tough to even stay where I am, but this will be the goal.
All right, thank you so much. Best of luck for the race. And Calvin is still in the interview, so I'm going to give back to the commentator just for a second.
Thanks very much, Verena. Yes, having won the last race at Hockenheim, Lucas Auer will have 25 kilograms of success ballast strapped onto his Mercedes for today's race. Liam Lawson was 2nd last time out, so he's going to have to carry 18 kilograms of success ballast in the race. And Max Gotz is a bit further back down the grid, starting on the 3rd row. He's going to have 15 kilograms on board because he qualified. He finished in 3rd place last time out at Hockenheim. Kelvin van der Linde on the front row of the grid will have no success ballast on the car. This is all stuff that can come into play. Right, I think we can hear now from the man that is chasing down this championship lead.
Oh, and this man certainly is going to chase down Liam, that's for sure, starting in P2. I mean, you were pushing so hard, but in the end it's P2, but it also means you're starting next to Liam. So, I mean, let me guess, in race start, it's all about overtaking Liam and hopefully going for victory.
Well, I mean, the goal was to be in the top 3 this morning. I think that's important for the race. It's going to be chaos. I mean, you know from the past, you go a lap down here when you do your pit stop, so you're going to come out in traffic. If the traffic's going to play along or not, for sure Mercedes is going to play their cards, we're going to play our cards, and see how we can get to the front. But definitely it's going to be hard outside of turn 1. Normally doesn't work so well, so we have to see what's possible.
I mean, all in all, overtaking here at Norisring is just so challenging. What would you say, what's the most important here at the Norisring?
I think timing the pit stop correctly will be really interesting. I mean, like I already mentioned, when you come out the pit stop, you're in the middle of traffic, and you need to really make sure you overtake the traffic early on, otherwise you're going to get stuck, and all the guys that are running long will overtake you after the pit stop. So there's so many games we played. I know the teams last night, they were all stressing. My guys also, to get the strategy right, it's going to be very tricky today.
Best of luck, Calvin. We're going to see an exciting race, that's for sure. And now here are the highlights, and we'll see you later for a spectacular race.